Hello and welcome. My name is Matthew Markowit, and this is video 3 of the Unity 2D platformer video tutorial series. In this particular video, we're going to talk about sprites and setting up sprites to be used in our scene. So the first thing we want to talk about, of course, is sprites are commonly used as targas or PNGs. So these are the file formats. These are the two that I have. Basically any image file that has an alpha embedded within it. Now in this project, as we can see here, if I go over to my sprites, we do have a whole bunch of different ones already loaded up as I give to you guys to use as templates. Of course, if you have any artists on the team who are going to recreate those sprites, I expect you to create all of the sprites that are going to be used within your particular scene. You don't necessarily have to recreate all of them, but just the ones that you use within your scene. Now I do want to talk about how we work with our sprites. As I said before, the first thing is we want to select our image or any of these sprites here using the project tab. So this is the project tab down here. Now I showed you before that we minimize the thumbnails. I can scale them up bigger here so they make more sense. Whenever you click on a image, okay, and I don't know if the default's this way or if I'd already am set, but texture type up here is where you want to set these to be sprites. And so right now it is set to sprite, so we have sprite, 2D, and UI. Sometimes it comes in default as texture. Either way, just make sure and ensure that every one of your sprites within the scene are set to 2D and UI sprite, right? So we can kind of go through those. Now, once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your sprite mode is set to either single or multiple, depending on what the object is. So if we see here, right, we got like 4 images. This is actually a fireball, or this, the coins, or, you know, of course, the collectibles and so on. We notice that these have multiple images within them. These are known as sprite sheets. They are meant to be an animation of multiple sprites within the same image. Now, if you're going to do those, you want to make sure that these are all set to, under sprite mode, right, set those to be multiple. And once you've done that, just like the other one with the sprites, and I forgot to say this before, but you definitely want to make sure that you do this with all of them, is you hit apply in order to apply both sprites and if it's multiple and so on. And you can do this for every single one of these, of course, that have multiple images within them. Now the key one right now, as far as what we're doing in this video, is to make sure that the Mega Man one is the one that is set completely up, because this is actually our character sprite sheet, and we want to make sure that all of the animations within that are appropriate so that we can go and work in the next video and do the animations themselves. So I'm going to come up here, sprite mode, set that to also be multiple, and then once again hit apply. Now once you've applied all of these things and you want to work within it, and this is especially true, of course, if you're doing multiple sprites, because it doesn't just automatically know where one sprite begins and the other one ends, so we kind of have to figure that out on our own. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, of course, once again, our Mega Man sprite is clicked, and we're going to go and click on Sprite Editor up here. Now in the Sprite Editor, we can see all of these different animations. Now these are way more than the animations we're going to use. If for whatever reason you want to use more of them or play around with them, go ahead. But we're only going to use a few of them within the top 2 rows. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at some of the settings within the Sprite Editor itself. Now, we do have a revert and apply, so as I make changes to this, we can revert or apply those changes to the actual sprite. We haven't got to that point yet. But right here, you can toggle between the alpha. So as I was telling you before, your image has to have an alpha. As we can see here, here's the alpha for the sprite themselves. And you click back on, now you see the RGB of the actual image itself. This slider here allows you to zoom in and out. Of course, you can also do that using your mouse wheel. All right, and then this last one here, this one kind of changes the resolution based on compression, if you want to see how that works. In this particular case, we're not going to play around with any of that. We're not worried about any compression. Now, what we do want to do, of course, is over here where we see the slice tool, we want to actually make cuts out of each one of these images. Now, the entire image is actually 500 pixels across and 350 pixels up and down. Now, doing the math and seeing the rows here, we actually have 10 rows across here and 7 rows going down. So, like I said, if you do the math, it's pretty simple. If we go up here to slice, now you could hit automatic, right, and then all whatever and hit slice right here, and automatically finds the sprite and finds it within, you know, just basically gets it nice and perfect within. Unfortunately, this isn't going to work for us because we want the sprites to be lined up. So as I said before, doing the math, we know that if we set both the X and the Y into 50, right? So 50 pixels each direction, right? We're going to be able to create something that looks a little bit better. So instead of using type automatic, we're going to switch this to be by cell, grid by cell size, right? So we'll click right here. The default is set to 64 by 64, but we're going to type in 50 in the X, and we're also going to type in 50 in the Y. Now you can change your pivot of your sprite to be anywhere, and it shows all these different options. I am going to leave it center. Some people like to do bottom, so it is in the bottom center, right? Or bottom left, bottom right, but it's all up to you. We're just going to leave it center. Okay, and now we're going to click back over here, and we're going to hit slice, and you're going to see that it's created these perfect images around all of the sprites. They're lined up. We don't have to do any real work, and so a good artist, when they're creating a sprite sheet, knows this, understands this, and sets each sprite within its appropriate position so that when you slice it within an editor, just like Unity here, right, that we can use our animations without any crazy work. Now you can go in and manually, if you click anywhere and hold down, you'll actually manually create different boxes or cuts. We're not going to do that. Now you don't have to do this. For simplicity's sake, of course, you can come in here and just like delete a lot of these, all right, because you don't need them. Because otherwise you're going to sit there and have like a whole bunch of sprites to deal with. I'm not going to go through and delete them all. You get the idea. If you want to, delete them all the way up to the top 2 rows. Leave the top 2 rows there. Otherwise, you're fine. You can have all the extra ones. It really doesn't matter. But what we're going to do, as I said before, use these top 2 rows when it comes to that. But anyways, once you're done with these cuts, all you have to do is come up here and hit apply. And now we can shut this off here, and you'll actually see now, and each one of these sprites have little kind of play buttons or little triangles here. You actually click on it, and if it is set to multiple and you have cut the sprites, if you click the play button here, you should be able to see every one of those sprites now cut up and separate. Now, of course, there's a lot more of these, as I said before, because I didn't delete some of them, but that's all right. We can still work with this. All right, so in the next video, we're actually going to start talking about animation, so hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.